Hi everybody, it's Rhiannon from the Epsom Bakehouse. Hope you can hear me, and I hope everyone's doing very well. It's a sunny afternoon, well it's sunny here in Surrey. Um, I just thought I'd come on. I've been doing some live tips, and I wanted to share another tip today about baking bread at home, and especially about making the most of the resources that you may have available. I know some people have found it hard to get hold of a certain baking ingredients at the moment, so I'm just trying to help as much as I can with that. And I thought also I'd come on and I'll say it a bit at the end about the live bake-alongs that I'm hosting at the moment. And if you want to join in, that'd be great. We had over 1,000 views on Saturday and last Saturday, and we're doing another one on this coming Saturday. So I'll let you know a bit more at the end of this video. Also, I just say that my kids are at home as well. I'm sure yours are too if you have children. So excuse any random noises. I'm definitely not alone and enjoying any peace, but that's fine. So today I wanted to talk about how to make your bread flour go further. If you are watching, do say hi. It's lovely to have people along. I know lots of people have been getting in contact with me to use how to bake bread for the first time, how to use ingredients they have. And as I say, I'm just trying to make as much helpful content as possible to help people who are baking at home. But if you are struggling to get hold of bread flour, or perhaps you just want to make what you have go a bit further, or you just want to try a new recipe, and some of the suggestions I have here will obviously give you a different bread. And so that might be a good thing to try out whilst you have a bit of time, and if you want to try something new. So it's just how to make your flour go a bit further. And if you're baking at home, if you're making kind of a regular white bread dough, there's a couple of things that you can add in to that dough as well as flour, and then obviously you'll get more out of it. So you can use a couple of alternatives. The first one being alternative cooked grains in your bread dough. And for example, I have a recipe, and I'll put a link in the comments after I finish this, to a spelt and quinoa bread, and you could use any real cooked grain in place of that quinoa, but just adds a really beautiful nutty flavour. But obviously it is an alternative to the flour that you might be using. So obviously you need to cook the grains before you put them in, and then you just add them in with the flour at the start of the recipe and knead them in with the flour and make your dough as you would before. Just remember that if they're quite wet when they're going in, you might need to accommodate that in the amount of water that you put into your dough. You don't want to end up with it too wet. You'll make a different bread. It might not be a bad bread, but it will be very different. So that's an alternative, is cooked grains. The second one is a really great one. Oh, hi Tracy, thank you for watching. Oh, I'm glad you made the flatbread. Yeah, that was what we did on the last live. So so many people got in contact to let me know that they really enjoyed making it. So second thing that you can add into your bread, and this is a real game changer for a lot of people, if they add in cooked potato. So that can either be mashed potato, and you could even add in leftover roast potatoes. I mean, I don't know if anyone ever has leftover roast potatoes. I don't know, I enjoyed eating them too much. But if you make roast potatoes and you have extra, you could add them in as well, chop them up. So potato adds, it is like magic. It makes your bread dough a lot more creamy and a lot more fluffy. So it adds in all that starch. And also if you put butter into your potatoes, then adding any fat into your bread dough will make a softer loaf as well. You could do something like 300 grams of bread flour and 300 grams of cooked potato together to make bread with. And then and mix that up to make bread. Do have a look for recipes, but that's another great way to bulk out the flour that you do have. Obviously as well, Tracy was just mentioning in the comments there that we made flatbreads in my live bake along last Saturday. In a similar vein, you could omit the flour entirely and use cooked potato to make things like potato farls. So well, you'll probably need a bit of flour to bring it together into a dough, but it's much less flour and you're making it more like a flatbread with that one. So that's a couple of things that you can put in. Obviously, if you've got alternative flours that isn't white wheat bread flour, then you could add up, for example, if you've got rye flour or even gluten-free flours, add up to about 10-15% of the entire weight of flour you're going to use of those alternative flours if you can bulk it out. Or even if you want to mix bread and plain flour, maybe up to 10-20% plain flour into your bread flour, just to make up bread. So if you are looking to bake bread at home and you don't think you've got quite enough, add it in. I've also got blogs on using things like wholemeal flour if that's the only thing you have to bake bread with. It does take it's a little bit of different technique. You can't just substitute wholemeal flour in for white bread flour. So I'll post the link to that blog as well. So I hope that was helpful. If you are baking bread at home and you're wondering how to make your bread flour go a little bit further, that was just a couple of tips on using alternative cooked grains, potatoes, things like that to bulk out your bread flour. And I can guarantee you, if you've got time to try those things out, it will really change the bread you make, and you might find you make a new favourite bread. So if these tips are helpful, if you have a look back on the videos on my Facebook page, I've got things like how to bake bread when you have little or no yeast. And also I just mentioned I did one on baking with alternative flours. If you're not getting the flour that you've got you normally get hold of and you're using a different flour, I've got a Facebook Live on tips on that, and on the blog. As I mentioned at the start, I'm also hosting live bake-alongs with my 4-year-old on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. They'll be live here on the page, so if you come to the page at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, that's obviously UK time, if you come to the page, we will be doing very simple, quick recipes that you can bake at home with kids, if you want to join in, I've already put a post up for what we're doing this week. We're going to be doing cheese straws, cheese biscuits. You can make them into as well. Really simple, just a few ingredients that hopefully you can get at home. So keep an eye out on the page. I'll put a post up, another reminder post that we'll be going live on Saturday, and I'm really looking forward to seeing people there. We had great fun last weekend. My 4-year-old was loving it as well, that she got to teach everyone how to bake her bread. She was really loving it. So very simple recipes. So if you want to join in, let me know, and we can let you know that we'll be going live. Otherwise, I'll say say bye for now. But if you do have any other questions about baking bread, then you can obviously let me know in the comments. Hi Candice, thank you so much for watching. It's lovely to see you here. I'm glad you find it useful. Although I know you do bake great bread at home, so I'll absolutely hear your tips as well. If you want to join the live bake-along, then do come along on Saturday. Otherwise, I'll say bye for now, and it's been lovely to see you all here today. And if you're watching on the replay, then hi, and do leave a comment. Thanks, bye.